Shock of God, aka Rich Alan Garcia, a prominent Christian here on YouTube known for his infamous question, "What proof and evidence do you have that proves that atheism is accurate and correct?" However, it is not the question that has stand alone earned him a bad name, but his unfailing inability to acknowledge the countless times where his question has been responded to. Atheists, from the smallest channels up to the largest, have answered his question, the most notable being that of the Atheist Experience call-in show.
Okay.
What proof and evidence do you have that atheism is accurate and correct?
I wish you wouldn't get off. I wish you'd stay.
Okay.
Because there's this moron on YouTube who keeps asking this question and pretending like we haven't answered it. Not only have I answered it on the show before, but on the blog as well. The question is ill-formed. The question is, what proof and evidence do you have that atheism is true? Well, atheism is the position of not accepting the theological explanation. It is not accepting the God hypothesis. It is, in fact, the null hypothesis. It cannot be proven to be true. It is the default position. And Christianity and Buddhism and Hinduism and Islam, they have all failed to meet their burden of proof. It's not up to me to prove that there are no gods any more than it's up to me to prove that there isn't Bigfoot or fairies or UFOs. The default position, the null hypothesis, is that these things aren't true. And we wait and reserve belief until they are demonstrated to be true. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But
Cool.
Does that mean that atheism is not a worldview?
That's correct. Atheism isn't a worldview. It doesn't have any tenets or dogma, no books, no authorities. It is a single position on a single question, the existence of gods. Now, there is a worldview that many atheists share. Most of us, at least with the ACA, are skeptics. That informs our worldview. My atheism is a direct product of skepticism. Many of us are secular humanists, which tell us a little bit more about perhaps our moral outlook on life and other things. There's many, many labels that would fit, and there are a number of secular worldviews that are consistent with atheism. But just saying you're an atheist alone doesn't tell you anything at all about somebody's worldview. By the way, most Buddhists are atheists. They don't believe in a god, but they believe in any number of, in some cases, supernatural things that I don't accept. Some of them don't accept that either. So yeah, atheism is not a worldview. It can certainly be a part of a worldview, but it's not a worldview in that broad sense.
Okay, well, thanks for your time and everything.
Sure, thanks, Jacob.
Bye.
Tell Shock I said hi.
As mentioned by Matt, the person asking the question is ill-informed about the scientific process and rational discourse. It is for the person making the positive claim on something's existence to provide sufficient evidence to back their claim. There are countless analogies which have been used in order to show this time and time again, ranging from the classic Russell's teapot to pink unicorns and of course the almighty flying spaghetti monster. But just as many times that this question has been shown to be based on false premises, Shock of God has yet to acknowledge any, other than to claim an unbased victory at the apparent incapability of the atheist community. This is a clear distortion of the world in order to protect himself from answering the criticism of his question. In the field of psychology, distorted thinking, which includes blanking out aspects which you feel damaging to your internalized beliefs, would be classed as a cognitive disorder due to the cognitive being our perception of the world. Shock of God therefore stands monument to the corrosive mind rot of the Christian faith, displaying that the Christian faith either creates psychopathological disorders in some of its members, or that its arbitrary ways and theodicy of disprivilege seeks to draw in marginalized individuals, such as those suffering from psychopathological disorders like that of Shock of God. The problem with trying to help Shock of God overcome his cognitive disorder is his acute attention span. This would make cognitive behavioral therapy difficult to perform, as the therapy involves anywhere from up to 16 to 20 sessions in which the therapist challenges the distorted thinking in a tactful manner. This would also be made increasingly more difficult due to his aggressive disposition, a defense mechanism against those who attempt to break down the cognitive distortion which he has constructed to shield himself from exterior criticism. This is all viewed as a psychopathological disorder, as this cognitive distortion prevents shock of God from progressing, merely entrapping him within the same psychological loop of repetition of the question, then response from the atheist, followed by an unjust claim of victory. A healthy individual would respond to the criticisms using valid points rather than just inflammatory remarks claiming that the opposition is incapable. If required, a healthy person could alter their point or question so that it actually made sense, allowing for progress to be made. It is also vital that his followers step back and realize that they are only making matters worse, and should stop encouraging him and effectively enforcing this cognitive distortion, maintaining his psychopathological disorder. This is Essence of Thought. Out.